The 2019 Teacher's Guide to Technology is here from my friend Jennifer Gonzalez. Go to coolcatteacher.com/guide and stay tuned for more. Valuable virtual reality things every teacher should know. Episode 432.
The 10-Minute Teacher Podcast with Vicki Davis. Every weekday, you'll learn powerful, practical ways to be a more remarkable teacher today.
Today, we're talking with Steven Sato, a teacher in LA, Los Angeles, about the power of virtual reality. Okay, Steven, is it all hype? Is it really that awesome for teaching?
It is. It is really awesome. And I have to give credit to Jeremy Bailenson out of Stanford University. And the biggest thing that we should be using VR for is the impossible, dangerous, the rare, the counterproductive, or the impossible, right? And so for those particular reasons, I really think VR is extraordinary.
Okay, when you say dangerous or impossible, what do you mean?
Okay, so if we want to go back in time in history, so I'll give one quick example. About 3 weeks ago, I had the opportunity to see The Last Goodbye. It was an immersive VR experience, 17 minutes, produced in conjunction with the USC Shoah Foundation. And in that experience, you walk with and follow a Holocaust survivor, Pinchas Guter, back to Auschwitz, or the concentration camp in which he was interned when he was about 10 years old. And so as you think about it, without getting into too many details of that experience, it's just so powerful. He's with you. He's talking with you. He's explaining the showers, the baths, the crematory, the fields, and the one thing that he does remember when he was brought to the camp, which is his twin sister's golden braid. And as they exited the trains, that was the last image. And that's the only remaining memory that he has of his sister. And so throughout the experience, as he talks about what had happened and recalls the horrible experiences and the nightmares that he experiences still to this day, for us, it's not possible to go back and experience that there with him. But we can have this living testimony from him. And it's now archived for the world to experience from now and forever.
How do you access that?
So currently it's available at certain museums. For us, it's the LA Holocaust Museum. There are 3 other museums. I'm blanking. I apologize. One is in Florida, one is in New York, and I'm blanking on the 4th city. But my understanding is that they have every intention of making it available to schools as a part of their curriculum.
Wow.
So some of the,
So it's immersive. You're there. Okay, give us an example of a dangerous.
Dangerous. Okay, welding. CTE, Career Tech Ed, right? If you're sitting there and you are at a school and you're training students on how to weld, then it's much safer to be welding in virtual reality. Now, do you have the force feedback or the air quotes, like the haptics? No, you don't have that. But you do have the ability of dropping your beads and not spending money on material, not spending money on electricity at that level to go ahead and practice and give your students the amount of reps that they need to become expert and proficient and master this skill. And then they can hit the real system.
Okay. And then you said the impossible. Give me an example.
Ooh, the impossible. For me, I'm very scared of going underwater. So for me, I would say that VR has, and we talk about virtual field trips all the time. And I think I used to be a hater, but then I realized that was very selfish and self-centered. But if my paradigm is such that I can't access something or I'm unwilling, and for me it's impossible perhaps, then diving at the Great Barrier Reef might qualify, and that might fit my paradigm and be useful for me.
Because for example, I had so many ear problems as a child. I can't, my husband can dive and I can't go but a certain distance below. So I literally could not do that in my life. And it gives me the opportunity to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's one good example there.
So I had your friend Jamie Donnelly on the show in January. She said that some folks are suggesting maybe a 10-minute time limit in VR. Do you have a thought on time limits, or should there be?
Definitely. First of all, Jamie, love her. She is doing so much for, I think, the industry and the category, and I love what she's doing. Learning Transport, if you don't have that already, go get it. We try to keep our experiences. I teach at a K through 8 school, so all the way up to about 13, 14-year-olds at the end of the school year. Maybe 5 minutes maximum. And that's for 2 reasons. One, physiological, and I'm not an expert, but when we're in VR, our eyes are nearly cross-eyed to focus on those screens that are so close to our eyes. And so again, there's also the psychological effects of it. Possibly, again, there isn't enough evidence in one way or the other, but opportunity. It's very tough. If we only have 2 systems at our school and I'm trying to get 35 kids through this in 45 minutes, it's not possible to go much longer.
So what system do you have at your school?
So at our school, we run HTC Vives. We have them set up and we use them in the library. And I have the unique opportunity of teaching the VR elective. And so we have them set up and it's fun. So we do some Beat Saber, if you're familiar.
No, tell us, what is it?
Oh, my goodness. Okay, so Dance Dance Revolution. Are you familiar with?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Okay, so it's basically the Dance Dance Revolution of VR. And so you have these boxes that advance towards you at various speeds. They have arrows, and you're to swipe your lightsabers, these are the controllers, in the direction of the colored arrow. And of course, there's music and you're dancing to it, and the kid just can't get enough of it. So if anybody ever told you that there was no physical education activity that you could do with VR, and there are many more than just that.
Yeah, my son asked me, he said, do you think VR is going to solve the obesity problem because people are going to want to run and do activities? And I'm like, help me understand this. But he seems to agree with you. So now you teach a VR elective. What is that elective and what are you teaching? What are the objectives?
Sure. So the objectives for us, again, is not core, not curricular. It's obviously an option. What we do in that one is we attempt to teach our middle school students what is VR, what is the power of it, why would we use it, and in that process, sort of modeling Stanford's virtual human interaction labs methods, we want to expose them to, again, the things that I mentioned, the impossible, rare, dangerous, counterproductive, or expensive. And empathy is one of those things too. So for instance, we had them in an experience called becoming homeless. And each kid got in there and they basically, the economy is downturning, they lose their job, they're evicted, they live in their car, they live on a bus, they're approached by police, and they're harassed by just random people.
Wow.
And through that experience, right, through that lens of immersive VR, or what we like to call presence, the idea that you feel like you're there. Subconscious mind doesn't realize that it's fake, although you do. We feel like it can really give kids the opportunity to understand somebody else's paradigm, empathy. And so for that, the kids were asking, why was I harassed by the cops? Well, I don't know if you were harassed by the cops, so let's ask that question later. And when we did, after all of them had gone through it, we had answers such as, those are stereotypes. We had answers, some agreed that they thought that homeless people were dangerous and scary and violent. But those conversations don't necessarily come up just out of nowhere in our daily, instruction.
What have you learned from teaching kids using VR and teaching them about VR, about where we're heading?
I think what I've learned is that they are having these experiences outside of the classroom. So PlayStation VR, location-based VR, that's just basically a VR arcade. Or they're going to go to, for us, it's Six Flags Magic Mountain, and there's a roller coaster with a VR headset, right? And so there's this need to satiate their expectations, at least from my perspective. And it's not about just giving them what they want. I really think that if you look at storytelling from the get-go, right? And so we had written, we had print and reproduction, then we had multimedia on the web and archive, and you can replay it anytime. It's on demand, et cetera, et cetera. My father watches YouTube all the time now. And outside of squid videos, right, he's also watching the videos to learn how to operate his brand new Galaxy S9, right? And where I might have been the expert, he no longer calls me for these things, and he instantaneously can now operate his new phone perfectly. And the next evolution in that, I think some of us believe, really is AR and VR, and it's the ability to provide this idea of spatial awareness and presence to provide really strong memories that hopefully provide a better understanding of the concept and the learning objectives.
Stephen, our last question. As you dream of the future let's say everything went totally right in 10 years, how would we be using VR in education?
Gosh, I would say that we would have social educational platforms that would allow us to experience the best of the best of the best educators, the best colleagues, whatever content that we want to experience as students instantaneously in a controlled and safe environment. And so just one quick example of that, if we're in a chemistry lab and there are dangerous chemicals, we can experiment with those in real time in VR, but not feel like we're going to be hurt.
Right. So, virtual reality, there is a power to virtual reality. And of course, with the potential for 5G being deployed and how fast that's going to be and lowering the latency, some people say 2020 is really going to be the year that's coming up on us that, we'll be completely untethered and really be able to use VR and it'll become truly mainstream. And it definitely is a tool now. But, perhaps, Steven, I don't know if you agree with me or not. In some ways, it seems like a novelty still, doesn't it?
It does, because there's not a really big install base, right? So I think from Oculus Connect 5 just a few months ago, they really need a large number of base installs in the consumer market to support the ecosystem. And I think once we're there, we're going to really see it fly and take off. If you ask me 2020, maybe I'm going to say 2022. Even though I want
and you
today.
probably know better than I do. So, but either way, the next 2 or 3 years, huh?
Yeah, I think so, for sure. Appropriate, effective applications for education. Let's give it a couple years there.
Yeah. Okay. So take a look at virtual reality. I think it's one of those things that we should have in our schools just because it's going to be so much part of our students' lives in the future. And we want them to be part of it today. Thanks, Steven.
Thank you.
Jennifer Gonzalez has released her 2019 Teacher's Guide to Technology with over 200 education technology tools, including tools for assessment, flipped learning, presentations, parent engagement, video engagement, and more. In this guide, you get a simple description, a screenshot of the tool, and a play button that takes you to a video about how the tool works. Learn more at coolcatteacher.com/guide. Now, I am an affiliate for this product, which means I am paid a small percentage of the fee if you purchase it. This is at no additional cost to you, and I only recommend the best products for educators on the 10-Minute Teacher. So, the 2019 Teacher's Guide to Technology. Hope you enjoy.
Thank you for listening to the 10-Minute Teacher podcast. You can download the show notes and see the archive at coolcatteacher.com/podcast. Never stop learning.